So it don't matter the age. Somebody says, "Hey, I've got a son or 4 years old." I said, "Oh, let's bring them in." So I
Right.
give everybody a chance.
Yeah. Now, was that Bolby's in East Moline at that time, or was it somewhere else?
It was down in East Moline, down there. I guess we're down on the 15th Avenue, or I
Mm-hmm.
think it's 15th. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
that's where I started.
All
I
right.
don't even
Now,
remember. Well, the teacher had always.
did, did you play like in school bands, like junior high or high school?
Funny story. Well, before that, let me set you up with that
All right.
1970s maybe. Um, I think it was 1970. Um, 4th of July. My neighbor Ray Alonso. He was the one person in charge of the Los Amigos Drum of Youth Corps. We were down to East Moline to march in the 4th of July parade, and I remember it was Ray and I think Tim. They both yelled up. They said, "Hey, you want to march in the parade?" I said, "Well, yeah, sure." So I got to carry the Los Amigos banner down there in 1970. So that was kind of my first experience. Because he knew I played the drums and was dabbling with a little bit of this and that, and that's where my career started in the drum corps. Because the very next year I was in the drum corps playing cymbals um, with my buddy Tim Alonso. So we played cymbals, and then from then on, I started playing other percussion instruments in the drum corps. Um, but getting to 5th grade, you know, I remember my mom took me up to the pre-music screen or whatever, Silver Junior High, and um, it was a done deal. It said, well, we're just going to get you the snare drum and this and that, start you off in the drum and band. And I remember I said, "Mom, I want to play trumpet." So, and she looked at me, I remember, and I said, "Yeah, I want to play trumpet." And the reason I did want to play is because my cousin John was playing. So I ended up playing trumpet through 8th grade, and then I think I got a ear infection, and then I think the doctor said he wouldn't recommend that I wouldn't play the trumpet anymore. So that ended my career there. And so when I got to into high school UT at East Moline, I was playing drums again, um, and you know by then I was already playing the drum set, um, and I was reading drum set music, learning all my rudiments through Los Amigos Drum Review Corps, so I was pretty you know, advanced into to what to knowledge of playing, and by that time I was already learning a lot of music. I remember my very first song that I played on the drum set was that Ricky Don't Lose That Number.
Oh,
The very first song I learned how to play, and reading charts on the drum set. That was the very first song. And,
oh, okay.
so from then on, you know, it took off from there. I started to listen to different types of music. Um, by that time, my mom had gotten me into taking drum lessons from a guy in Rock Island. His name was Tom Harris. I remember we would go and I would go into his drum shop, and he had maybe 6 drum sets, and man, this guy had a lot. The first lesson, and I went over to sit on the best drum set that he had. He said, "Oh, no, 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 you have to start over. This one over here." It was, but I just worked up to play on his big set at one time though, so it was pretty good. Um, uh, he taught me a lot. He showed me a lot of um, reading charts for like plays and things like that. So it wasn't basic drum charts. He was teaching me drum charts. Like for Guys and Dolls and things like that. So
Oh,
he would
mhm.
he challenged me for stuff like that. Um, So playing those charts over in high school, it was pretty easy. I got.
Do you remember your first drum set?
I do. I do. Actually, I still have it. Thing has been around the world, but I think I forget what year it was. But I remember my dad came home and he bought a silver sparkle Rogers. I can't a '64 Rogers actually. I think it was. And, that was the very first drum set I had. And he had a couple cymbals with that. And I did get rid of the one cymbal, and I wish I would have never have. Um, but yeah, I played on that drum set forever. Um, and then I remember starting it up with the Macombos when they started back up. I had bought a clear drum set, blue Vistalite Ludwig set from Griggs. I remember that set. I used that set for a long time. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, the silver Rogers, I still have it. It's packed away. Um, Another set that's packed away that I don't talk about. Um, but yeah, I had a good buddy of mine, Jim Van Hefty. He had redone my silver drum set. Got
Oh,
it back in shape because I think I think my cousin Phil had the snare drum and was growing flowers out of it at one time. I think. Um, but I got all the pieces back and I gave it to my buddy Jim and he took it and he put it back together for me. It's really great. Sounds great. Um, I take it out about once a year. That set did get stolen at one time, and through Facebook and pictures, another good friend of mine, drummer friend Tom Ramirez, he got it back for me. He had recognized it, the guy trying to sell it, and he got it back to me.
I remember
So,
that because he called me because of the church and
yeah,
had seen pictures and said, I think I got Al's drum. I think I've seen Al's drum set somewhere being, for sale or something like that. Some guy was trying to sell it or something like that.
yeah.
I remember giving him your number or something like that.
I think it was within 4 hours when he had seen it and got a hold of you and got a hold of me. I had it back in my hand, so that was
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, I remember you playing that set though. I remember as when I was young, you'd be at the house playing that or messing around with it, and sometimes you and Phil might play together, like in a little band or something like that. Like I remember you guys playing Down the Hill at Johnny Nache's parents' house
yeah.
one time outside, and that was the set that you would be playing.
Yeah, there's some great stories with that set, and there's a lot of great stories with all the drum set I've actually had. But yeah, that was.
Tim Alonso's watching right now. He says, "What's going on, brothers?" He was just talking about you, Tim.
We marched together side by side, as
Yep.
young little.
I remember you taking me to basketball games when you played in the pep band.
Yeah, that's another funny story. I'm the original drumline guy. If you watch drumline, um, I never liked the cadences or the beats, so I always changed it up, rewrote and changed it with the other guys. And I remember, we were supposed to play a couple things, and I told the guys, let's play this, let's play that. So we played that, and I remember the band director turning up and giving us that look, and he gave us that look. What are you guys doing there? It was funny. Being in drum corps already, I did change a few things up with some of the guys, and they kind of liked it. And, because by the time I was playing with the high school band, and everything was pretty simple. And I know a lot of guys wanted to change up a couple things. And so
Yeah.
during the half times and during this and that, we would change up.
I guess you should mention who the musical director was for UT back then.
Allie Williams. I butted heads for years, 4 years. We butted heads, but I appreciate everything that he showed me and taught me in his way of teaching and how he was. He there's a couple of things that I got from him is how he was one on one with everybody. I mean, no matter what your skill level was, he was always appreciative of what you're doing, what you're playing. And his other biggest thing is just like is the Star Spangled Banner. You know, he hated to be altered. He hated you have to play at the right tempo. You know, if it wanted to be at this tempo slow or faster, they would have wrote it that way. But they didn't. You know, they wrote it at that certain tempo, and that's how he wanted it. And to this day, that's how I am. When every time, well, let me hear the Star Spangled Banner. You know, and probably in the past 10 years, I've only heard one good Star Spangled Banner. You know, sporting events on TV. You
Right.
know, I don't care for the altering of the chords and that. It's just, you know, when Francis Scott Key wrote it, that's the way it was supposed to be. That's Mally.
Yeah, yeah. So, did you play with any groups? Did you do any gigs yet in your high school years? Do you remember?
You know, I did a few. Um, I think I was starting to get into the Amigos band here and there. Um, you know, playing with the Macombos. So there was a variety of music that I was already learning. A lot of Latin beat type music I was learning. By that time, I was already listening to good, you know, Deep Purple pretty heavy, and Thin Lizzy pretty heavy. Um, Guys like that, you know, bands in the '70s, you know, and I was just talking of this conversation the other day that, you know, back then I really somebody asked, well, do you like the Beatles? Do you ever like Elvis? I said, I really never listened to the lyrics or anything. The only thing that caught my ear was the rhythm of between a bass player and a drummer. That's
Mm.
basically all I was listening to, you know, when I was growing up. You know, oh, listen to this beat. Oh, yeah, that was cool beat. You know, can I try this? Can I try that? And, you know, I never listened to lyrics a lot. Uh, um, and that's how I always been. And, when I would go to learn a song, I would just basically listen to the drums and then you know how it fit in with the rest of the band.
Right.
But lyrics, not until I started playing worship music, the lyrics started hitting me first before anything else. But,
Right.
but yeah, that was one of the big things growing up is listening to the drum parts. And um, I remember listening to Rush, and I remember watching Neil Peart, his drum solo on the live album, and how fast he did everything, and how everything was just done. And I was like, man. But the older I got, the more the stronger I got into my rudiments, and the faster I got to play rudiments. That's all he was playing with his rudiments faster on the drum set. And um, another person like that is Carter Buford from what is that guy's name? Can't even think of the band's name now. Somebody help me out there. But uh, but a lot of my drum students were bringing his charts to me because he had a book written out, and and the only way we learned those to play each of those songs is I said, look here, you know, all his drum playing were just rudiments, so we would learn the rudiments first, and it made the drum chart a lot easier to play, knowing their rudiments and what they were playing. And so that, you know, that's all, drumming is just a bunch of rudiments,
Right.
and you know, I don't, when I teach, you know, I tell them, well, I don't teach jazz, I don't teach blues, I don't teach Latin. You can play the same beat for every one of those, you know, styles. So it's a matter of feel and that.
Yeah. Now, when you were a young, let's say grade school wise, did you have any drum heroes?
Um, who would they be? This is a guy from I don't remember which guy was playing. The guy from Deep Purple was one of them. Um, just not really. I didn't really have a drum hero back then. You know, I was just listening to all the music, all the drummers back then.
Yeah.
It was my later years I started to listen. I would start to hone into who I liked the most and their style of drumming and things like that.
What about your high school years? Did you start veering towards anybody yet?
Neil Peart from Rush, you know what he was doing with that was pretty cool. Kiss. Kiss was everybody's favorite band. Everybody was air guitar and air drumming, air everything for that band in my high school years. Um,